This episode of the Writer's Room Game Show is brought to you by the Story Clock Workbook from Plot Devices. The Story Clock Workbook is built for breaking open your story ideas and getting your hands dirty, mining your ideas and resources and inspiration for every last ounce of potential. Organically break your story into an outline. Thoroughly rip off your inspiration. Figure out any exploitable resources you might have. Determine your weaknesses so you can lean into them. Stories take work. Learn more about how the Story Clock Workbook can help you work smarter at plotdevices.co and get 20% off your first order with code GAMESHOW at checkout.
They end up taking him and a bunch of plastic because they're bad guys. There is not enough.
Classic bad guy move.
I'm sorry.
Taking what we want, all your women and children and all of your plastic.
I'm sorry. This is really unraveling as we pitch it. Hey everybody, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Seth.
And welcome back to the Writer's Room Game Show. It's the podcast where every week we generate an original feature film idea from scratch in under 60 minutes, working from a set of random prompts given to us by a big Hollywood studio.
At the beginning of every episode, the studio, which is really just an iPhone shortcut, assigns us, the contestants, a new project consisting of 4 components: the genre, the tone, the demographic, and a studio mandate, which is basically just a random thing that the studio is requiring.
We then have 1 hour to develop a feature film idea that fits the assigned criteria, with surprise roadblocks along the way.
At the end of the episode, we'll focus group the idea with one of our talented filmmaker friends and ask them actual focus group questions. If they answer positively, woo, we did it, we win, we go home, we did it.
If they answer negatively, we lose.
Forever.
And that's about it. It's another week here at Writer's Room Game Show. We've had nothing but successes so far, and I'm starting to get a little suspicious that people aren't being honest with us.
Well, I think we're defining success appropriately. When you say success and the fact that it applies to all of our episodes so far, I think we are grounded, balanced people who are, centered and have come out of this pandemic with the appropriate amount of therapy and meditation apps to be able to be content in our little podcast.
Have you received in the past weeks that we've been releasing these episodes, have you received any other mom texts that you want to give a shout out?
Oh, great question. Let's do
this podcast.
Let's do a...
We've received a check-in with Seth's mom.
So let's see. This week's mom follow-up. Dad and I are sitting at the Sonic eating cheeseburgers and listening to the rest of the podcast. Lois and Clark, clap, clap, clap. I would love to see the movie you pitched. Oh, no, that was like her 8th text to me about it. She said, listening to this week's podcast while I run errands. I can't believe you read my comments out loud. Whatever. Just want to say about the first part, a live show would be genius. So fun. The audience would be shouting. Romance that's playful with twists. You must turn to the GOAT. Nora Ephron. You've got mail. Sleepless in Seattle. What's funny about this is my mom is now... the habit of these texts are my mom will shout at me recommendations or things that I should know and then later redact them and apologize.
Because we talk about them on the podcast.
Yes, because we talk about them eventually. And then she's just proud of me because, oh, okay, you mentioned Nora Ephron. Also, Steven Spielberg makes playful romances that aren't billed as romances. See all the Raiders movies. Thank you, Mom, for mom-splaining Steven Spielberg films to me.
The mom-splaining the Raiders movies. That's great.
Well, that's classic. I mean, she was around from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what,
before they
were definitely
before
referred
there were
to.
Subtitles.
Let's see. Maybe I can build an Instagram following as Seth's mom. So if you're out there, guys, I don't know what I want you to do, except...
What's funny is I'm pretty sure you've said her name to me, Seth, but I just want to call her Seth's mom because it has become a kind of a thing. So
that's actually her birth name. It's
Seth's
very
mom,
weird
Worley.
that my grandmother had the foresight to see what legendary accomplishments she would have, such
That's
as
a beautiful name.
Giving birth to me. Yes. Well, her first name is Seth. Her middle name is Smom. That's actually why... This is really dumb. People tune in for dumb jokes that we make up based on restraints and requirements, not based on just our shooting the crap at the beginning.
Well, I
just said shooting the crap because my children are right outside this window over here. You can tell if I don't swear on the podcast, it's because my children are within earshot.
I love it. Well, I'm always appreciative of Seth Mom's comments, and we actually, we've gotten some great reviews on Apple Podcasts. Thank you everyone who's rated and reviewed the podcast and left their comments. And just for everybody else, check out writersroomgame.show. We've got a great little link that you can submit actually prompts that will be put into our random generator, so that a studio mandate or a genre or something like that, you can actually submit those, and they'll maybe end up in a future episode if we like them.
The studio cares cares way too much about what you think as the audience. So you have way more power than you realize. So seriously, scroll down. It's at the bottom of the page at writersroomgame.show. Takes you to a little Airtable form. Oh, that's them. Speak of the devil. The literal devil.
Okay, here we go. Hello? Hey, studio. Good to hear from you. Yeah. Oh, yes, sir. I'm so sorry, sir. I'll never do that again. Yes, sir. Okay. We're looking forward to it.
Oh my God. What did he do? I'm
sorry, sir. Goodbye. He didn't like that I was talking to him as a friend and not a boss. So.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I'm scared. What did we get, Seth? They said they would email us.
You actually should be scared. So this week, the studio is trying to develop a film in the genre of hard sci-fi. That's their words. Okay. Hard sci-fi. They are looking for it to be uplifting.
Okay. I mean, I guess we could. That's great.
Yeah, so that's a seamless transition there.
Hard sci-fi and uplifting.
And they want it to be the audience they're looking for, girls aged 9 to 12.
Oh, no.
Uplifting hard sci-fi for girls aged 9 to 12.
This is and that Disney Channel original movie, Xenon. It's basically what we're looking at.
Okay, we'll just pitch them a gritty reboot of Xenon. Or is it not Warrior Princess, Xenon Girl from the 21st century or 20-something century?
Something like that, yeah.
Is our very first Google search on this episode going to be Xenon, Girl of the what century? What century is Xenon from?
Xenon movie.
It says here in the email, we were able to secure Denzel Washington. That's exciting, but only for a half day of production.
Oh,
they still want his one scene. We still want his one scene to be a crucial part of the plot. That's great. That's actually really easy. So like a half day shoot, and they've got to they're right there in the first act. They've got to like deliver all the exposition and then never show up again or die.
Yeah, or they can be hidden in the shadows the whole movie and then show up at the last scene.
In the very end. Oh, James Earl Jones in sneakers style. That's good. Yes. I like that.
Okay. Well, hard sci-fi, uplifting, girls 9 to 12 with Denzel Washington in one scene, but a crucial one scene.
Crucial. Well, the way I see that actually by crucial, I've done this before. I've created a part in a movie that was intended to be stunt cast with like a big name, or it was made it to where it was possible to be stunt cast with a big name, and to where it would be a one-day shoot. It could ideally be shot anywhere, like on a very cheap set that would be very quick to, build up and tear down. Mm-hmm. So no matter what city you're shooting in, you could go to wherever this celebrity is and fly one actor or whatever out with you.
Yeah.
The crucial part of it is that the scene is written in a way that it sets up much of the plot of the movie, or much of the the premise of the movie, and therefore that's the better word. It sets up the premise of the film, and therefore ends up in every trailer.
Totally,
and so that's how they bring the monetary value to the film, is because the studio is able to market it as if it's a Denzel Washington, vehicle.
So I love that, Seth. Just so we don't forget,
the Writers' Room game show has begun.
Timer is going. We've got 50 minutes to write this movie. So Denzel Washington, I mean, it's nice that we kind of have that built in. We know that he's a character in our hard sci-fi film. Hard sci-fi, I know it sounds funny because it's different than, just regular sci-fi, but I think the difference is to me, hard sci-fi is more like it takes place in space or has like this...
No, man, like hard sci-fi. Well, you keep going. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shut you.
No, I was good. Like, to me, like the normal sci-fi often is more rooted in... Actually, I'm not even sure. I feel like I need to Google this now because now I'm feeling not as confident.
No. I mean, actually, let's talk. I didn't mean to say no. Like, let's talk about like what we each think hard sci-fi means, because I think that's actually gonna. Are we writing for what the studio probably thinks hard sci-fi means? Because I doubt the studio. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say I doubt the studio executives we were writing for have read the works of Philip K. Dick. When they say hard sci-fi, they probably mean less accessible sci-fi, right? Less commercial sci-fi.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, yeah, where I think of just sci-fi in general, it's like something like E.T. could be sci-fi because it's an alien coming down, and it's this relationship between sort of man and this this sci-fi. I don't even know how to describe this.
Well, look, for the listeners, we separate the difference between sci-fi and fantasy. Like science fiction, a lot of people call Star Wars science fiction. Star Wars is very much fantasy. Star Trek is science fiction because it takes place in the future. It doesn't have to take place in the future, but it takes place in Earth's, like, ideally a future that could happen. And so, Minority Report is science fiction because it presents a picture of what life could be like. Scientifically, like, it is very possible. we could get there, or we could be there right now. I think that's, Blade Runner as well is science fiction. Blade Runner is the first thing I thought of when like we said hard sci-fi. Just cinematically speaking, I feel like Blade Runner is one of the first images that it's going to come to your head.
Yeah. There's that movie a few years back from that French filmmaker. He did like Lucy.
Crap. Yeah, because he
What's
did
his-
Leon the
Luc
Professional,
Besson.
right? Luc Besson.
What was that movie he made a few years ago? I don't think anybody saw it. Valerian
no one
and the
did. It
City
was,
of a Thousand Planets.
Yes. By the way, badass trailer. Like one of the coolest
So good.
trailers
Yes.
in years. But unfortunately, you watch a trailer, you're like, I'm never going to see this movie, but I absolutely want it to have a trailer this awesome.
Like
someday.
something like that. I'm like, that is hard sci-fi. And that and like Blade Runner, they have these like sort of, I don't think of uplifting. I think more of that sort of very dense narrative and these really kind of dark. When I think of hard sci-fi, uplifting is like the opposite genre that I think of. But
Well, check this out, though. I think we're wrong. No, I know, of course we're wrong. We're always wrong. But, okay, I know I just said probably want to go off of what the executive probably thinks hard sci-fi is, but there's a Wikipedia page for hard science fiction. The number of people who are probably screaming at us already. Let's just acknowledge right here. Apparently, hard science fiction is a category of science fiction characterized by concern for scientific accuracy and logic. That apparently is the determining factor.
oh man,
In under an hour, we need to come up with a hard sci-fi concept.
I do not like this.
I don't
I mean,
either.
we can do it. That's part of the game, I guess. I am the filmmaker that is least concerned with scientific logic. I think one of my favorite comments that I've ever received on one of my films was on Pizza Time, and it's this long paragraph about the physics of a wine bottle and why it would crash or why it would break when it's thrown at someone. Because we had a gag in that movie where a wine bottle didn't break.
Very funny gag.
And
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that it's like this bottle that just won't break until the very end. But this long paragraph about the physics of it and why it would break. And I laughed so hard because I'm like, dude, I'm
Can I tell you,
not
those are my
concerned with
favorite.
that.
Because but it doesn't matter. They put in the time and the
Yes.
energy to like explain to you. Like I would pin that comment immediately. Be like, all right,
Totally.
you put in as much work on this comment as I did on the film. So
I think I included it in a social post once and said like, I would love for all of my viewers to put this much thought and attention into my films as this guy did. But I'm down.
I'm trying to. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say I'm down to make a movie like that. It's just narratively, it's hard to like start with that as a starting off point for coming up with this idea. I feel like it should be more of like a restraint. Like we write a sci-fi movie and then at the end sort of make sure that it's fitting within the hard sci-fi sort of constraints, I guess.
Well, apparently, like hard sci-fi tends to focus on natural sciences, and soft sci-fi tends to focus on more social sciences. Which actually that makes a whole lot of sense, and it makes sense why. And actually, I think it runs parallel to our discussion of like what we thought hard sci-fi and soft sci-fi was. In the Minority Report, feels very much like, I mean, I guess that maybe not, because that we called that like more hard sci-fi, but that was dealing a lot with social sciences. Here's an idea. So I wonder if we can find with a quick Google search, like find some possible like futurist concept and or even, maybe not even a futurist concept, but some kind of scientific development that's happened that not a lot of people have talked about, or maybe they have talked about, that we can pick and we can just loosely build a story off of that. Like for example, I was developing a project years ago that was a Disney property. I'll let people guess. It was based around an existing like franchise, not even a franchise. It's a location within a franchise.
I know.
Do you know?
I know who ended up directing this.
What?
Is this Tomorrowland?
No, gosh, that's cooler. No, it's not Tomorrowland. It's actually,
what
you
it sounded
probably
like,
won't be able
yeah.
to guess it. It was a very cool idea, and it was the idea of an anthology film based at this location. I'll let people guess if they want to, and I'll tell them if they're right. It was based this location within this string of Disney films where you could actually contain a lot of sci-fi stories with a sci-fi slant to them, but were very lighthearted and more comedic. And one of the stories I pitched in it was called Doug, not Jim Jenkins' wonderful cartoon, Nicktoon from the 90s, but it was about like a genetics major who manages to reactivate a prehistoric ancestral traits in a chicken, like teeth, tails, hands, etc., in an attempt to de-evolve the chicken into a dinosaur. And it was based on a Wired article that had come out at that time. They're talking about how scientists could technically de-evolve a chicken into like a chickenosaur. And
It's incredible.
and so they did this and it got out. and got loose in the school, and it was named Doug. And that's why it was like this, chicken dinosaur, hybrid loose in the school named Doug.
So good.
So I think that is the kind of story you could do for what's our demo? Girls age
9 to 12. That's so much more fun than everything that I went to when you were talking earlier about realistic stuff. Because I was like, we've got robots that are just this morning. I saw a video of these dancing robots from Boston, whatever.
Everyone's going to go to the dancing robots.
But it's like the robot's going to take over the world, and then you have these billionaires that are flying into space instead of helping our world. And
hang on. Well, again, hard sci-fi doesn't have to be cynical. So like,
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's like that the idea that you just said, I'm like, that's so much more fun and uplifting than sort of depressing things that my brain immediately went to when I thought of like tech and futuristic kind of.
Well, but hang on, the Boston Dynamics is the one thing is a great reference because everybody, the obvious joke everyone makes, and we do not stop making them, is the Terminator reference. It's like the whole Terminator reference of whenever they release a new video.
Made a whole meme of. Doing the Boston robot.
Oh, it was great. And Hashi, we're talking about Action Movie Kid. Go look him up and look at his all of his awesome stuff.
VFX
and Chill every Friday. I've not done much cross promotion on the show. No, so is there should we entertain telling a story about like inspired by the Boston Dynamics robots that is intentionally doesn't take the Terminator route? Like what other stories could you tell?
And actually, so Uplifting, we've got Girls 9 to 12. I mean, it could be fun to. It's hard not. Wall-E, I guess, probably could be considered hard sci-fi, right?
Yeah,
because
actually I think so.
Because it's very much rooted in real life. It has a sort of a social commentary element. But having this Boston Dynamics robot be sort of a friendly robot as opposed to the Terminator thing, that could be an uplifting sort of idea. And maybe this could be a terrible idea. Like we talked about we've had some not great ideas on here. But if the Boston Dynamics,
I don't know what you're talking about.
The Boston Dynamics robot, if it was created to help like a handicapped person do more things in real life, or it could be like this, uplifting story about this Boston Dynamics robot that is helping, a handicapped person go on this journey, or I don't know.
Well, I then go to like an Iron Giant story out of that, like an E.T. story out of that, where like it's built as a weapon. I mean, then we're just doing Iron Giant.
Yes, that's true.
Hey, if this helps,
Terminator
there actually is a
2.
list of films on this Wikipedia page. Destination Moon, 2001, Colossus, The Andromeda Strain. Oh, I love The Andromeda Strain so much.
I've never seen that.
Silent Running. Oh, you got to read it too. It's great. Blade Runner, 2010, Contact. Amen. Freaking love Contact. Gattaca, The Man from Earth, Moon.
Oh, Moon, yes.
Apollo 18 is actually one, apparently, that like found footage on the moon movie, I believe is what that was, wasn't it?
I don't think I've ever seen Apollo 18.
I don't think I've ever seen it either, but if I'm getting it correct, it's during all like the paranormal activity phase of horror when like everything was found footage, and they did one on the moon.
Yes, I remember that.
Robot and Frank. Her, that's a great one.
That's hard sci-fi?
Her is 100%, man.
Interesting. Okay. I'm starting
Ex Machina and The Martian and Arrival. Sorry, I had to finish because they're great movies at the end.
Yes, I love all of the last 7 movies. Okay, so I'm starting to kind of grasp what hard sci-fi is, and it's a lot different than what I thought it was originally.
I know.
Because a lot of those, so more rooted in science and what is like legitimately possible, in the future of
it felt like it was just inaccessible sci-fi. Like Johnny Mnemonic would be hard sci-fi, but we're really talking about just more factual-based sci-fi, which in a way is worse for us.
Yes, I would rather make up crazy sci-fi ideas than time travel
and just get dark with it. Yep, me too. Well, now, okay, time travel.
To me, like my favorite, like Palm Springs, I'm like, that's the kind of like weird
100%.
Sci-fi, like grounded, but it's okay. So I mean, I like the robot idea. I like playing with the robot and maybe doing artificial, like if there's a way to do like artificial intelligence on a not like depressing. Tone. I don't know. You like Ex Machina. It's like robots will take over and they will defeat the
depressing.
Humans.
But also without just being Robot and Frank or Real Steel or Bumblebee.
Dude, Real Steel
like that's what we don't want to do. Well, actually, I'm not bashing Real Steel at all. But I don't want to just imitate those things. I'd rather imitate something else. I don't know what.
There's also, I mean, we can also go to another planet. To me, that is still like I guess the Martian would be the.
It'd have to be a planet that we believe and feel that apparently science seems to insinuate we could live on.
Mm-hmm. Or a moon or something like that. It's hard to get around the ET. I really want to just do the ET kind of story now, but it's been done. Iron Giant is like another.
It's been done,
ET
so I don't
robot.
really know if I want to.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, totally.
And we could talk about time travel, but everybody, we've done time travel 1,000 different ways. And the problem with time travel is it's so theoretical, and there's like 3 or 4 solid theories. I'd say 3 or 4. I can only think of 3 that contradict themselves on each other. And so we'd have to pick one first off.
The Star Trek 2009 black hole time travel is probably, to me, like the easiest, or would be like the most hard sci-fi time travel concept.
Oh, really? I think of like by the dude who...
Or I guess Interstellar.
Well, Interstellar for sure, but there was... Oh, Interstellar, yeah, for sure. But no, there was the Primer was very hard sci-fi.
Oh, yeah. I always forget about Primer. Yeah.
Oh, and there's a couple other really great ones too that I cannot believe I'm forgetting about. Okay,
this is tough.
So again, I kind of want to like... What?
So I've been looking
have
up.
You Googled?
I Googled futurist tech innovations, and I've been reading this, skimming this article that's just talking about what these tech experts are predicting in the next 10 years to be tech innovations. But a lot of it's AI and, interplanetary kind of stuff. I mean, I think it'd be cool if we went way more into the future, like Worley, where it's like there's a lot more like space travel is a normal thing, like that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm struggling to keep it this sort of really grounded, natural, scientific sci-fi, because it's like tech and science is just not, I'm not often looking this kind of stuff up and looking at this news, and that's just not really my thing. But
nah, I know. Are we allowed to pull back old ideas and throw them into this podcast? Have we ever talked? We haven't discussed that.
I don't think we have. I mean, I'm down if you are. If it's like something you don't care about,
I'll just throw them out there. Why not? So there is. I'm sure this might be a fun place just to like talk about dumb ideas because I have a whole Airtable document full of any idea that I could. A few years back, I just started putting new ideas in here and as many old ideas as I could think of, going back to childhood. So I even included the dumb ideas I had as a kid. Mm-hmm. And one of them, this is like the most soft sci-fi ever, which is called Quasar, because that was the name of not even how you pronounce the word, but Quasar? It was the name of a laser tag place in town. Yeah.
Quasar.
And it was an utterly ridiculous story. I came up in elementary school about an alternate dimension where several figures of history whose fates were never determined or documented, like Amelia Earhart and the captain of the Titanic.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Currently live and fight to survive in an army of... survive an army of magical tigers that can teleport across long distances.
Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
When did you come up with that?
Elementary school. I don't remember what grade.
So good. Quasar.
Amelia Earhart and the captain of the Titanic were 2 main characters.
I love the captain of the Titanic was on the level of Amelia Earhart. I bet you.
Well, no one knows what happened to him. We don't know where he died on the Titanic or when.
So
that's James Cameron just had him, swallowed by the sea, but who knows? He could have been taken to the Quasar. So we have no idea.
Very soft sci-fi, but I love the idea of us. Oh, that could be fun though. If there was a way for a hard sci-fi technology to recreate, even if it was like with AI or like the idea of these, you would see like the hologram of. Who was it? Tupac or these dead musicians?
Or Kim Kardashian's dad. Yeah, totally.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I completely forgot about that. That is so terrible.
Never forget.
But what if there's a hologram technology or like an AI technology which recreated the sort of spirit of these famous figures of history and do it in a hard sci-fi way where like it makes sense tech-wise. And this little girl, like she goes on this journey with like her hero, or maybe it's like not her hero, it's this random person in history. There's like a little device or something that this person in history is taking around with her, and I don't know where I'm going with this, Seth.
I mean, you can keep going. I don't want to discourage you because you might be going somewhere great.
I don't have anything else in the idea. That's what I'm saying. I don't know where I'm going with this. This is the first one where we're really stumped, Seth.
Really stumped.
This is the content people are wanting right here.
Oh, what about this? Well, crap. This still isn't like natural science that we're talking about here. God, did you know there's an Oklahoma spaceport?
No.
I drove past it on our way back from our last drive back from LA. And I thought, OK Spaceport would be a funny name for a TV show, for a sitcom.
Okay, Spaceport. I love that.
FAA approves renewal of Oklahoma Spaceport license. I guess it's just where shuttles could land.
That is wild. That's not, I don't think that's near any, like, Houston is the closest, like, NASA place, which is very far from Oklahoma.
It's in Burns Flat, Oklahoma. Burns Flat was pitched as a full-fledged tourist attraction, complete with a theme park. 13 years after the spaceport became licensed, no space vehicle has launched from the former Naval Air Station. But they, apparently 20 years ago, wanted it to be a future, like a space hub where launches happened, and it's just very funny to me. Like,
that's pretty fun. I like it's supposed to be uplifting, so I like the idea of doing this. Oh, dude, what if it's this fun story about the people? What if it's okay, what is it, Spaceport?
Okay, Spaceport.
Okay,
yeah.
Spaceport.
It's so funny because I saw it as like a okay Spaceport, but it's even funnier thinking of it as just a mediocre Spaceport. Like,
yes. But I like the idea of, okay, there's this old Spaceport, they're not using it anymore. Now it's just like this deserted sort of location. And someone, like a group of people in present day, 2021, sort of like take over the OK Spaceport and try to get it back up and running and using it to, like, for space travel or something. Or maybe it's a girls 9 to 12, kind of threw that off. But I like the idea of this little girl who is really interested in space travel and NASA. Damn it, hard sci-fi. I was going to say
hard sci-fi for girls 9 to 12.
I know, it could be fun to, like, have her, like, imagination, like we're kind of seeing a story, like, in and out of her, like, imagination as she dreams of going to space or something like that. And it's like this girl who's in Oklahoma or, hanging out around the OK Spaceport. But there's so many things that are going back and forth in my mind of trying to fit within this assignment.
Let's hammer into our demographic real quick and see if that gives us any direction to go. How much time do we have? We got to be, like, nearing the end now.
We're almost to our wild card mandate.
You think this time they'll give us the premise of the film? In the wild card?
We can cross our fingers.
I just typed in shows for girls 9 to 12, and Google tends to get really confused by this, but Victorious. All the Dan Schneider Nickelodeon, like, iCarly, Victorious, that stuff comes up, which my girls watch nonstop right now.
I love iCarly, man. Oh. Here we go. Let's see if they give us something. Hello? Yes. No, it's actually going really, really great. We have a great story developed for you.
Yes. Good, Polly. Good. Mm-hmm. Keep it going.
Yeah. Okay, we would love another note. Yeah, that would actually be great. Thank you so much. All right, looking forward to it. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, sir. Bye. Forgot to say sir. Okay.
You had to tell them that we would love a note because the one they sent over, the entire movie now needs to take place on a boat, Ryan.
Oh, no. Okay, well, at least we got a setting now. We can sort of, focus in on. Okay, it's got to be on a boat. The captain of the Titanic, played by Denzel Washington.
Scientific discoveries, marine life, something real quick. Like, start looking up oceanic scientific discoveries while I continue deep diving into television shows for young girls
for 9 to 12. And we can't forget Denzel Washington is also going to be a big part of this film, which is our original mandate, which is kind of fun.
I can tell you that's fun and easy. Like, I'd love to come up with something for Denzel. The Legend of Korra. Did you ever see The Legend of Korra?
I love The Legend of Korra. But that is definitely high fantasy. It's not not even near hard sci-fi. I'm looking up recently discovered ocean species, and there is a jellyfish that mimics a hot air balloon.
Ooh.
Which is... I guess hard sci-fi would, like, scientific, like, animal discoveries be hard sci-fi?
100%.
Okay,
Keep going. Cool. Let's find something. What else we got?
Okay.
Or is there something about oceanic evolution? Ooh, I'll look that up.
Oh, like Luca style, like sea monsters?
Well, if we have any idea what the future of oceanic wildlife could look like, we could grab that, and then if it's in the future, then...
Whoa. There's a giant creature that looks like silly string. It's just strands of string float around in their living creature.
I thought, like, half the ocean looked like that. Was I just...
Hey, you're not wrong.
Was I just stereotyping the ocean?
They found a reef taller than the Empire State Building in 2020. A shark and a squid fought. They got it on camera.
That's a scientific development. I'm sure that's been going on for a long time. We just finally got invited to see it.
It was a major story in the oceanic community.
Listen to this. There's an ambitious project called Plastic Bank, which aims not just to remove plastic from our waterways, but to turn it into a social currency which can lift people out of poverty. Plastic Bank pay, let's see, they're even going as far as providing communities with 3D printers who can turn recycled plastic pellets into useful objects. So, there is something possibly there with recycled plastic from oceans. Ocean Data Alliance use of artificial
Uplifting.
intelligence.
I mean, that's recycling. That's a big uplifting thing. Saving the
we
world.
just got to figure out what the conflict would be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for making Star Trek 4 if that's what we need to do.
Which one is 4? It's the...
It's one of the best. It's when they go back to the 80s. It's when this mysterious life form shows up in the future, making these very strange sounds, and Spock figures out if you play the sounds underwater, they make whale sounds. Yes. And so they must... I'm doing this for the listener now.
The whales are on the poster.
They go back... They go back to the 80s before the humpback whale went extinct. And they have to find 2 humpback whales, bring them back to the future, and so they can communicate back with these aliens, and the aliens will stop, wreaking havoc all over Earth's resources. It's a fantastic movie. Leonard Nimoy directed it. It's one of the first Star Trek movies with no villain, and you don't even realize it until it's over. It's so good.
In my opinion, the even-numbered Star Treks are the best Star Trek movies.
That's most people's opinions. That gets knocked off by JJ, though, and inverted, actually.
I guess that is hard sci-fi, Star Trek, most of it.
Well, it's rooted in hard sci-fi.
Teleportation, kind of stuff. There's, lots of things that aren't real, but the root of the stories are all very human conflicts, and
it's rooted in hard sci-fi, but it's not anchored into it. It's just something with the use of plastic.
I'm looking at all these articles as fast as I can to try to find something interesting.
This is a hard one.
This is so hard, bro. This is definitely our biggest challenge yet.
Well, what if we say, okay, hey, let's just, you know what? It's a podcast, all right? Let's just explore some options and not feel too... Going with the plastic idea. I'm going to spitball a really stupid idea.
Spit it.
In the future, plastic is actually our most valuable resource, which is actually, this is kind of fun because it inverts the whole idea of like a natural resource being, gone. The idea of like, we've polluted our ocean with plastic and, we're in a slightly dystopian future, but we can make it, I like the idea of a dystopian future that is actually being, the good guys of our story are working very hard to rebuild society. So it's like patches of it are very rebuilt, but the deterioration of Earth is like fighting against them every day, essentially. Mm-hmm, and what if plastic, this is going to be so stupid.
The thing that ruined the Earth
is,
the thing that ruined the Earth is actually
is actually now the most valuable commodity in the future, and it costs a lot of money. So therefore, there are pirates that are out there
waterworld
mining for plastic. And they are a threat. And they're not the main characters. Maybe they are. But I'm thinking like if you have, and I'm going to just say, the main character is I think the best way for us is to like ensure that we stay in the area of girls 9 to 12 is to make our protagonist, a young woman or a young girl. She's on a ship, like her parents run or something. You go like with, this skews younger, but like, Spirit and Lucky on the Spirit Netflix show, like they're on a ranch that her parents run, I think, or something like that. So like you can go that route, or maybe she's like iCarly, where she's like a straight up entrepreneur with her own like celebrity at a young age.
Huge loft.
But what if it takes place on the sea and there's some kind of pirate thing that happens?
I like the core idea of plastic somehow being this
plastic pirates.
Because it is obviously like a lot of, there are a lot of things ruining this Earth, but that is one of the things we all know is not a good thing. It can't be recycled. Once it's made, it is there. So I like the idea. So this is fun
because it weirdly inverts it and make it to where it's actually what we rely on in the future.
Mm-hmm. And there can be all these great, really creative uses of plastic that can be, maybe the boat is literally plastic. And I like that idea. And I think we could have the uplifting aspect is them rebuilding and using this plastic to make the world a better place. Maybe two, if our entire thing takes place on a boat, waterworld style, like where it's sort of out in the ocean the whole time, maybe our film ends with them sort of landing and rebuilding or doing something.
No, I think they should be on like it should be some utopian, like a
floating city kind of thing.
That kind of a thing, but yeah, like just like a space. If there's like a
International Space
station of
Station
some kind, like floating about, that's like the one in Star Trek Beyond, that looked like the one from Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like the big utopian. If this big utopian thing, it's like ideal for what? Like that's the thing you want to be where the movie takes place, and it's the thing you want to then be like to sink into the ocean at the end of the second act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And some girl who lives there is like rises as the hero to either rescue it or create the future for all of like her society somehow. Easy.
I love that.
We got 15 minutes.
I think too, it would be really fun if there's also like other group of friends. Like I like kind of rooting it where there's some other young people as well
100%
in on it, and maybe like a few older, whether it's a mom or a dad, or maybe even if it's sort of like a group of like orphans or something, and there's like, a older like chaperone kind of person that is with them. I kind of like the idea of going, if we're gonna make it like sort of this dystopian or utopian kind of thing, kind of go full.
That's what I love is the idea of this utopian bubble floating in a dystopian future, and the idea that it's actually a good utopian bubble. It's not the kind that it's not a Neil Blomkamp floating utopian bubble. It is an actual like hopeful, optimistic utopian bubble that we don't want to see destroyed.
So what if they start there and they're in search of more plastic to help keep it up?
It's a constant thing.
Yes.
It's a constant search.
And so maybe these kids shouldn't. I just watched Luca last night, if it isn't clear. Maybe these kids they should be staying in the utopia and not going off to dangerous Earth to gather plastic. Maybe they long for adventure or want to help out this. They feel useless on the utopia, and maybe they go down to help the forces, and they're not supposed to. Now, maybe Earth is a very dangerous place, and they're off on an adventure there or something. I don't know.
No, yeah, it's a Moana type thing of like, no, don't go out into the real world and stay here. It's Moana on a giant floating utopia made entirely of plastic in a dystopian world where plastic is our most valuable natural resource.
I love that, dude. I really do. Did you have that already, or did you just come up with that?
No, we came up with that.
We had 30 minutes to really think about that, and then it just hit.
How much time do we have now?
We have 15 minutes left.
50 minutes and 2 listeners remaining. Storyboards are a lot like swimsuits. Most of us are afraid to show ours to people, but then we see others and we're like, oh cool, that person is also swimming. And that's because we're all just here to swim. If you're a director or cinematographer looking for a safe place to try on your swimsuit, this metaphor is breaking down, look no further than the Storyboard Workbook from Plot Devices. It's built to streamline your pre-production process. Draw storyboards, plan shot lists, diagram lighting setups, set gear aside, show up to set feeling confident in your illegible stick figure drawings, silently communicating to your crew that you know what you're doing because you prepared. Learn more about the Storyboard Workbook at plotdevices.co and get 20% off your first order with code GAMESHOW at checkout.
I looked up names that mean water because I like the symbolism.
There we go. Nice.
And so I think maybe our lead protagonists, maybe something like Cascade. That's too. I don't like that. Delta, maybe.
Delta. That's nice.
We have we do have a COVID.
Of course, we have a
COVID
variant right now. Yeah, that we maybe shouldn't. What else we got?
Let's see. Harbor. We got
Bubbles.
Laguna. Bubbles.
Laguna. No, Laguna
Kindle.
is a different movie. That is an erotic thriller.
Lynn. Marina. That's too
Marina.
much.
No.
Mira. I like Mira.
I like how we have now alienated our listeners named Marina.
We have
our listeners.
I think not. That is really terrible. It's a beautiful name. It just is too. I think ocean. I think Mira is nice.
It's too on the nose.
Mira is Latin for ocean.
Mira?
Yes.
Spell that.
Mira.
Oh, that's it. I love that.
Yeah, Mira. So we have a protagonist, Mira. Maybe
Sorvino.
Dang it, Seth. Okay, so
hang on. There was a movie in 1971 named Mira. That's fine. That's far enough away. Just making sure it wasn't pornographic. The picture on IMDb doesn't help us. It doesn't appear that it was, but if you Google Mira and look at and go to IMDb page for the 1971, it looks like the Blue Lagoon.
She's also
2018.
Mira Royal Detective in 2020.
That sounds like a name, the kind of name ours should have.
Totally. We need a subtitle. Like
Mira, Plastic Pirate. Or
we both said it at the same time. It's so funny. But we need conflict now. There's got to be maybe an opposing force of people. I'm very much in the Mad Max Waterworld sort of area right now in my mind of what Earth looks like. But there's got to be some sort of opposing force that is hoarding the plastic,
mining it, I think is I think I like to imagine maybe there's a world outside of this, like the rest of the Earth, like that's where the dystopia exists.
Mm-hmm,
that's where like plastic is like, God, this fly is paid for. I don't know. I should have let you keep talking because I didn't have a finished thought there.
That's okay. But yeah, I feel like and especially if I guess it'd be helpful to find a theme of why Mira is joining this expedition to Earth to gather plastic, whether that's for her, she wants to see the world, like, a Luca or Moana kind of thing.
Did you say Moana?
I've actually never seen it. Moana?
Polly, dude, you never seen Moana?
Hey, you said you'd you'd be excited.
Get ready, you're about to have. I am excited. Get ready, you're about to have a kid very soon. You're going to be watching quite a bit of Moana.
I'm very excited.
Moana's awesome.
But is it sort of this? They have this call to adventure. They want to really experience the world since they've grown up in this utopia.
Her whole thing, Moana, whole thing is all about like her people have a history. She's called to the sea. She's the heir of like the not throne, but heir of like her father is the leader of their island and their tribe, and she's naturally the next leader. And he tells her like, we don't go beyond the Great Reef, we don't go out in the ocean. And then she discovers, much to her like shock, that their people were historically explorers, and that this call in her is actually very rooted in like the history of their people, and that their island is like drying up and they need to find a new place. So she actually ignores her father, goes out to try to find Maui, who's Dwayne Johnson, and return the heart of the sea to, anyway, all of that. That's kind of the whole thing. Is like I don't know if this movie calls for like maybe what if instead of I need to leave the plastic utopia, what if instead it's oh crap,
accidentally
all this stuff is happening while our parents aren't here and we're the ones in charge of the plastic utopia now, even though we've imagined this giant utopia.
This kid is it's for 9 to 12-year-olds, so that's
why I think of like it's like a little bit of a wish fulfillment thing of like, oh my God,
totally.
What if I was given the keys to the car?
Yeah, I think that, or accidentally being on the boat that's going to Earth and trying to make it back to the utopia, but then finding like sort of being a coward and wanting to just get back, but then sort of taking up the charge to, I need to help them get this plastic to help us make this great utopia. And like the theme could be maybe them finding the courage to help, create this utopia. Like either that or what you just said, where it's like they're accidentally in charge and they need to, they have to do this now. Like that's a little bit more interesting for me than just longing for adventure and going on an adventure.
Yeah, I think thematically this whole concept leads to, thoughts about like making the most out of like playing the cards you're dealt, making the most out of adapting and being able to like bring or like redeem even the darkest of turns of events, or like the darkest of circumstances. Like the idea of like us building utopia out of the thing that is ruining our planet. And one of the major things ruining our planet is actually, it's like that immediately makes me think of like, what is the human story that we can tell in that? It's so vague. We have so little amount of a pitch to give.
Denzel Washington is obviously like the president of this, or like the leader of this utopia.
Yeah, is he your dad?
And I think he's her dad. And for a reason that hasn't come to me yet, he is left the utopia, or he's unable to do his duties as the leader. And Mira has to, in his place, lead the journey down to the now 12-year-old acting ruler of the utopia has to go down to Earth to lead the expedition to mine plastic to bring it back to utopia. If we've got him for one scene, to me, he's either like the dad in that position or like a villain that's in the shadows the entire movie, and then you see him at the very end.
No, he's got to be the dad. It's Denzel. He's got to be someone meaningful. He's Raya's dad. in the first act of Ride the Last Dragon, which I'm sure you haven't watched.
I haven't watched it. I was an idiot and bought it on Disney Plus Premier Access and then totally forgot about it, and then it came out for free.
Oh man. Well,
but
Hashi has coming back to Hashi again. He has a great joke in one of his. He did a Ride the Last Dragon tutorial, and he recreated the dad with either AI or something, and had him because he's doing a lot of that lately, and he was like, "And don't worry, honey, I definitely will not die after this one pivotal scene." That's the role we give Denzel. Yeah. He gives her the theme. He basically
we make this Disney and kill him off in the prologue or first scene.
I think we either kill him off or have him, if he's kidnapped and she goes out to rescue him, possibly.
Oh, that's it, dude. That's it.
Yeah, maybe not even kidnapped. He just is no, stay here. I'll go. He sacrifices himself for his people, for the people and for her, and then is kidnapped, or
I think that's
she's
that's really
him.
interesting to me.
That's more than a half day, though. A half day shoot.
But I think there could be a quick scene where we see him. Maybe he led an expedition, a routine expedition down to Earth. To where do you see this bubble floating? Do you see this?
Indeterminate ocean, because we're in the future with the icebergs have all melted, so it's waterworld, man.
Yeah, waterworld. But maybe there's some patches of land or something that is very dystopian. That are villain.
That's the brown areas. Yes. That's where everything is super dusty and brown and dirty and
there's these really evil looking plastic castles that they're using their plastic for.
Evil plastic castles. Well, are they using it trash for fuel, or what are they using? Yeah, I'm trying to think of
I'm just thinking of
how can they use it for money and then
it's Gas Town and all these things from Mad Max that are. But just imagine he goes on a routine expedition. Maybe we see it in a prologue or something where he gets taken or he dies or something. I think him getting taken is more interesting.
It's more interesting, but I just don't know if logistically we can make it happen.
That's true. With a half day of Denzel.
The other way for a half day to get away with it is to have him be. You haven't seen Moana, but Jermaine Clement has that great sequence of singing "Shiny" as the crab. Yeah, because that scene's great, and that's in the Weirdsville section of the story, which is right after the midpoint. I still think he's the dad. There's the other thing that Raya does this. What I'm about to say, and How to Train Your Dragon does this too, I believe, where it's there's all these different other tribes or families or cities or societies that are all they have complicated relationships. They were once all one unified, society, and then they split off. Oh, Black Panther is that way too.
Oh yeah.
That's a fun trip. The idea of maybe this isn't the only floating, utopian plastic thing or iteration of, maybe it's not just this one place and then a world of pirates. Maybe it's there are your free-floating pirates, but there's actually different societies and their different uses of plastic.
Totally. Yeah, I actually do love that because it gives people different identities and different looks within and on our character's journey. Maybe they can meet up with some other tribes of plastic tribes. But I let's just say for time, because we have about 1 minute left. Let's just say for time that he does get taken. It gives her a reason to go on this journey. Maybe the pirates invade the utopia and he sacrifices himself. They take him. Now Mira and her group of friends and noblemen in this plastic utopia go on a journey to rescue Denzel. But then a rescue mission is a little bit different than an uplifting story about them.
Yeah, I actually kind of wonder if he needs to die, and her role needs to be to find them, kind of like Moana was, but find them a new home.
Oh yeah, because if
their town is if their town or whatever, their society is destroyed. If she sets out
to find a new place,
yeah.
Maybe she stumbles on one of the different
thematically is about making something, finding hope and turning a very crappy situation into
and it can sort of be about unity too, finding other tribes and stepping up and being a leader sometimes means befriending these people and accepting help from others in addition to helping yourselves, stuff like that. That is, I think, a good message for our 9 to 12-year-olds too.
Actually, I think this is a cool concept. We don't have a Yep. Yeah. It's a cool concept. We just don't have a story necessarily to pitch, but we can be upfront about that. Like, look, this is much more of a general world we've kind of come up with and possible story direction to go with it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll have some ideas. Seth, that was a journey. But, let's jump into our focus group. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Writer's Room Game Show, a beautiful writer and director named Ian Verdugo. Thanks for being here, Ian.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, so we got a very interesting pitch that we're going to make you today, and I would love to hear.
we're gonna make you listen to.
And first, feel free to chime in, but I would love to hear after we're done with the pitch if you can guess what genre and tone and like mandate and stuff that we had, because that's a very interesting.
Oh, so I'm guessing you guys aren't telling me.
No, yeah.
So we actually haven't been telling. We've tried to not tell the focus groups ahead, like in the past, like what we were assigned. But now Polly had a fun idea to actually make you guys guess and work for it. So. Just to see how well or badly we did.
Yeah, we will reveal it at the end, but we'll see if you can guess at the end. So
okay.
Seth, would you want to tee it up, or maybe?
Yeah, why not? So right now, in a world, how do we dive in?
I think in a world would be very apt for this.
It actually would be. So right now, plastic is not necessarily our favorite material in the world. It's pretty much destroying we're destroying the earth with it. Here's kind of the idea our movie plays with, which is that at some point in the future, we determined how to repurpose plastic into a resource that, like a building material, fuel source. We actually put all of our efforts at some point into repurposing and recycling plastic, hardcore recycling of plastic.
Hardcore. Okay, I like that.
Hardcore.
It's this thing that was destroying our world, but how do we make it something that's going to save the world that it's destroying?
And so we figured out how, but not all of us wanted to use it for that purpose. And so in the world that we've kind of come up with, there are several like societies scattered about the earth that have used plastic in the way that they use this like innovation and this discovery in the way that people group decided this is how we're going to do it. And our main one that we focus on would be great if it had a name, but it's
let's call it Waterworld.
Imagine it like. Have you seen Star Trek Beyond, the third of the JJ Star Treks,
yes.
even though JJ didn't direct it?
Yes.
So you remember the floating like space station that looked just like the one from Guardians? That was like that. It was the they went there in the first act, and then it was where like the climax happened in the third act. It was this utopian like spherical space station.
Xandar from Guardians.
What was it called?
Xandar.
Yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
It looked like Xandar, but it was called Yorktown or something like that, wasn't it? In Star Trek Beyond.
I think so. It's been so long, man.
I have no memory of it, honestly. Even
think of it. It's this utopia, this plastic utopia. Surrounded in water, that is this beautiful, people are thriving, are surrounded by this dystopian society. It's this utopia where people are living great lives,
and it's actually great. Yeah. And it's like it's not a like dystopian utopia where there's actually some hidden poison underneath it in society. Like it is legitimately a great place. The problem is that the world around it is much less reliable and is filled with pirates who are looking basically to mine. So thinking that plastic has now become like Earth's like most valuable resource. There are of course like pirate kind of societies that want to exploit it and mine the earth for it and steal it from those who are using it. And so they are like a major threat. So we're thinking about writing a movie. This is kind of like... You mind if I jump in, Seth?
Oh,
go for it, pal.
If you're going to finish sort of the long line setup, I could start sort of talking about our protagonists and our...
Yeah. So I basically just... What we want to pitch you is this is the world we want to pitch you. As a movie that takes place in this futuristic society. It's a world that is like naturally being pulled toward dystopia, and the people within it who are fighting fighting that dystopia to like and believe in a hope and future of society, and how they're repurposing even our worst sins as humanity. They're finding ways to repurpose it in a way to redeem ourselves and provide a hopeful future. That's overall like the world that we want to tell the story in.
I see it. I'm literally taking notes because I'm like, I want to guess this right at the end.
I love it. I love you're our first listener that has actually taken notes. I love that this is actually turning into a game for you as well.
Right now, I've written plastic pirates, utopia good, dystopia bad.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
So yeah, we are getting so complex and deep, and the deep issues.
Okay, so our story, you actually said Plastic Pirates, Seth, which I think our working title is Mira, Plastic Pirate. And our protagonist is this young 12-year-old girl named Mira. Her and her family live within this utopia. We'll just call it Utopia for now.
Or Aquatopia.
Aquatopia, yes. Oh, it fits.
Or Polycarbotopia. Or, I'm sorry, I'm going to mute my mic. Go Polly.
So Mira, this young 12-year-old girl, lives there with her dad, who is actually the leader of the utopia, Aquatopia, and he's played by Denzel Washington.
Oh,
and
okay.
And we'll just call him Denzel. One thing that they do in this Aquatopia is they send out expeditions every day to go out into the world and mine plastic to bring it back and use it for good for Aquatopia. But of course, Seth talked to you about these bad people that are out in the world that are using plastic for bad. They're creating weapons.
Yeah, dumb it down for me. Dumb it down. Use,
all right, so just a reminder, guys. Yeah, just a reminder: Utopia good, dystopia bad.
But they're using plastic for weapons and for fuel to create these big machines that are
and to make money.
And yes, why not money in this world? Ian, it's good to keep in mind that this takes place actually in our world, just in the far future. So the technology that they're using is very grounded and rooted in reality. Yeah, it's think of it. This is stuff that could actually happen in real life. So, anyways,
and will happen.
Aquatopia.
Mark my words.
I will stop at nothing to make Aquatopia real.
I will stop at nothing to bring Plastitopia into the world.
I love the constant changing name. This is great. Plastitopia, I like a lot.
Plastitopia.
We're gonna land on it. We're gonna find it eventually at the end of this pitch.
So Denzel, who is the leader of this Plastitopia, he some bad pirates from the dystopian world come to Plastitopia and
sorry, it gets me every 3 times.
And Denzel, who's the leader of Plastitopia, sacrifices himself to protect Plastitopia, and they take him as hostage.
You're saying it too much now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, to protect his home, basically trading himself for them stealing a bunch of plastic from their utopia. They end up taking him and a bunch of plastic because they're bad guys. There is not enough.
Classic bad guy move.
I'm sorry.
Taking what we want, all your women and children and all of your plastic.
I'm sorry. This is really unraveling as we pitch it. Okay.
Because it was rock solid before.
But anyways, so now Mira and her community are now left with not enough plastic to survive as a utopia, and she's put out on a journey with her and a lot of her friends and fellow Plastitopia countrymen to go out on a journey on their boat, because of course they're in water, to find a new community, to find a new home that is suitable for their utopian life, while at the same time rescuing Denzel from the dystopian pirates. And Seth, would you like to talk about maybe the theme of our story? I
was really worried you were going to say story.
The lesson, the grand scope of our concept.
Yeah, essentially, we like to mine. The theme is our North Star for every decision we make, especially early in the process of breaking a story like this. And the story obviously isn't fully broken yet by any means. But the theme that we feel like there's a lot of opportunity and promise in this theme of finding hope in even the darkest or like least likely of places, of also like the resilience of plastic. No, the resilience of
most resilient material on Earth.
If nothing else survives this story, if no one else does, plastic will.
It is the most resilient part of this actual story we're pitching. If essentially it's this theme of like, even when what you would perceive to be the worst possible thing to happen in your life, in the world, to you, the worst possible thing for you, it's about the turning that into hope, like finding hope in, and not just that, but like actually taking it and turning it into, and doing the hard work to make it into your future and make it into like a redeemable
in
thing.
a sense. It's about recycling hopelessness into hope.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, recycling.
Yes.
I like that. Okay.
And the circle of life, if you will. Another thing, nope. That's it. That's what gets us excited about the story, is the idea of, I'm going in and out of like pitch Seth. Like this is the least amount of integrity I've had in this seat,
100%.
in this particular episode.
Yes.
But no, that's what gets us excited about the story, and I feel like it's actually going to fuel us toward figuring out what the hell it's about. Are those themes?
Okay, so hope and darkness, finding hope despite darkness.
Hope good, darkness
hope good,
bad.
darkness bad. Denzel, taken from Plastitopia,
Aquatopia, yes.
Aquatopia, there we go. And Mira is on a journey to save her father. And if I'm just repeating what you guys have shared, I'm dumbing it down as much as I possibly can. And
That sounded like more actual content than we gave you.
Yeah, it really did.
so she's going to save her dad and like go to a new place with.
That was actually news to me because I thought he died.
Oh no, he did die. Yes, you're right. He died.
Okay,
he's dead.
Sorry, there were conflicting reports from surrounding the events of his death, but it actually was confirmed he died.
Okay, he died.
Denzel.
Wow, that's very dark, but
that's why they need
to
find. They need to find a new home. That's part of the reason.
It's classic Disney parent death. It's not super dark. It's like, he does it in an act of self-sacrifice, and clearly it sets her on a path toward renewal and noble heroics and etc., and finding a new home for her society. Basically, it's now in her hands to like find a new home for her people, and for and takes us out into the vast and scary world of the Earth that we've created in the future, and the various societies within it. There's also, have we talked about
there's other
the backstory? Talking about Black Panther or Raya and the Last Dragon are two good examples of there's a backstory and history to there's other people groups and societies out there in the world that either they have varying degrees of histories with, varying degrees of histories of either peace or war with, and those would obviously happen and be in the film.
They would cross paths, is what you're saying.
They would cross paths.
Lots of other topias out there.
What are some other topias? What are other names?
Well, they're all Plastitopias technically, so it's really about how they utilized plastic.
One of my favorite tribes is the soft Plastitopia, and it's very malleable and kind of bendy. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Well, there's the polyamides or nylons. There's also the polycarbonates. There's the polyesters, the polyethylenes, the high impact polystyrenes, the polyurethanes, and the polyvinyls.
Is there a Ryan Poly?
There's Orion polyvinylidene chloride that actually I think is quite exquisite.
My cameo is out of this world, man. Well, Ian, let me ask you, with that out of the way, the most important question of the day: would you go see this movie? Would you stream this movie on Disney Plus?
If this is all you knew about the movie, and you just had to trust that there was an actual story to be revealed to you, would you have any interest in going to see it?
Okay, here I have a question for that question. Would you guys would full on? No. Despite whether it's good or not, would you guys be the ones writing this and making it?
Yes.
You're just full on. You're just totally not just
writers.
coming up with a story. You are full on writing the screenplay.
I don't know. Is it is it fair for us to answer yes when this is our friends asking that question?
You have to know, just based on what this is, Ian, as a focus group, would you see it?
Okay, imagining there are writers of aptitude, like that are not necessarily, they're not mediocre, they're not whatever, they're just fully competent writers on this project and directors, a competent team.
Would I watch it? Yeah. I would go watch this. But what I'm saying is honestly, if you guys are involved in it in any way, I will watch it.
Oh, that's cheating.
It is cheating.
That is cheating.
It is cheating. I know that's like total like brown nosing.
If Ron Howard were directing it, would you go see it? I feel like that's a good neutral director to mention, because there's so much Ron Howard we love and adore, and there's so much that we have just by nature ignored by accident.
I think because you have Denzel in it, and then there's a girl, and she's like a lead. That is
big fan of girls.
That's more of a. I'm more drawn to that than Ron Howard, but because of Denzel, I think I would go watch it.
So you're more drawn to girls than to Denzel than to Ron Howard, is what you're saying? Okay,
just in general.
Just in general.
Okay,
I would be interested in seeing it. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you recommend it to a friend?
Some of my friends. I would recommend
which
it to...
ones?
Yeah, which of your friends are you recommending?
Which of my friends? I would recommend it to the friends that really like Disney, like Disney like cartoons. I'm assuming this is... Oh, wait, you don't even know. I don't even know yet.
Oh, yes. Please guess. Try to guess our genre, tone, target audience, and our studio.
Let's do it one by one. Yeah. What genre do you think this is?
Well, I want to say like sci-fi adventure. That's what I think.
Close.
Yeah, very close.
We had hard.
Okay, we'll tell you when we're done. Oh, we'll tell.
Okay.
Go. Sorry, I just decided, Polly.
Okay.
Sorry.
Please do. Yeah.
What tone would you say the the assignment was?
Is hopeful a good answer?
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
yes,
hopefully,
it is.
Yeah.
Demographic. What do you think our demo was?
Between 15 to 25.
Okay.
No, so that's no. I would say younger. I would say younger audience, like 10 to, I don't know, like a kids movie. So like 10 to 18. That's the demographic.
Wonderful. Any specific gender, or do you think it was general?
I think general. I think general.
Great. Can you guess what either of our studio mandates were?
I'm assuming studio mandate. I'd say it's plastic, having to somehow include some sort of environmentally friendly, I don't know, aspect in the story.
Okay. That would make more sense, wouldn't it?
Let me go in reverse with what we had. Our first studio mandate was that we had to have Denzel Washington, or we had Denzel Washington for half a day. So we needed but we needed to put him in the movie in a crucial scene with that half day of shooting. But our wild card mandate was that it had to be on a boat. So that's where we came up with this sort of water world-esque, it all takes place on water, utopia, dystopia.
Okay.
Our target audience was girls aged 9 to 12. So you're very close on that.
You're very, very, very close.
Yeah, very, very close. Our tone was uplifting.
I'm not saying we were, but I'm saying you were.
Our tone was uplifting, so you were pretty close with hopeful. We tried to do the whole plastic thing, like recycling, using the thing that's, ruining the world to try to save the world, was for us like trying to have like an uplifting sort of recycling message.
Yeah.
But, because it was based in like in a possible scientific, like factual. So our genre was hard sci-fi, which we ended up having to go down a rabbit trail of figuring out, defining what hard sci-fi was. I mean, can you tell us, what do you think? What do you consider hard sci-fi?
I don't know. Something that's, what's a movie that you guys found? I have no idea. Hard
what would
sci-fi?
You say is hard? What if we had to say a movie that's hard sci-fi? What would you say?
Hard sci-fi, like Blade Runner.
That was the first thing. Yeah.
So that we interpret it as like commercial, less commercial sci-fi or inaccessible, like less accessible sci-fi. But turns out hard sci-fi is a term used in fiction as science fiction that is like much more devoted to being rooted in fact and in natural scientific fact and not necessarily social scientific fact. And so we were stumped for the first half because we were like.
We literally didn't know what we were going to do for the first 25 minutes of the podcast.
Because we were trying to looking up scientific discoveries. What could we find something to base it on and base it in? And then it wasn't until halfway through they were like, it has to be on a boat. We're like, okay, what's oceanic science that we can look toward? And that's where the plastic thing came about, was because of your guess though about the mandate with plastic did actually make a lot more sense. But yeah, you did good, man. You did great guessing.
And thank you, Ian. Thank you so much for give us your honest answers. You would see it, but you would only maybe say, recommend it to a friend, which
but you'd recommend it to our demographic of friends, though, it sounds like.
Yeah, I like I said, I am, somewhat of a child, so I am entertained by those kind of movies, and I have a few friends that are like that as well. So I associate.
Ian is actually 12 years old. The listeners can't see him right now, but he's wearing a beanie with a windmill on top, and he's licking a lollipop this entire time.
I actually am a child, so Mom and Dad, if you're listening, will you take me to go see this movie?
Yeah, tell your mom thank you for letting you talk to us. Check out writersroomgame.show to listen to all of our episodes and suggest your own prompts for future shows. And don't forget to rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. It actually really helps our show a lot. The Writers Room Game Show with me, Seth Worley, and Ryan Polly is executive produced by Grant Wakefield at Weekend Video and Ann Fogerty at Plot Devices. Edited by Rene Gomez. Our art is by the adjective Meg Lewis. I'm just reading a script here. And our adjective music is by Ben Worley. The Writers Room Game Show is a Weekend Video production in association with Plot Devices. Learn more about Weekend Video at weekend.video. See you in the next one. By now you know that Plot Devices makes tools for your scripts and your shoots, but did you know they also make things for your body? Based on that intro, you might be thinking ointments and creams, and sadly you're dead wrong. No, I'm talking about shirts and hats. That's right, official Plot Devices apparel. Put story structure on your body structure with our Story Clock tee, or make your call time early by skipping the hair product with our Plot Devices dad hat. Tell people you mean business with our Action, It's the Law tee. All of these items are available now alongside all of our other tools for writing and directing at plotdevices.co.